Welcome into this week's edition of the Co-Lin Coaches Show. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin, and joining me first is our women's head soccer coach, Joe Joe Tharp. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me.
And Coach, obviously we get to talk about a little bit more fun this week, talk about another win, a big win, biggest win that you've had so far. I know it's only a limited sample size, but hey, it's still the biggest win that you've had. You go on the road up to Hot Springs, a 6-hour bus trip, and you beat the Nighthawks 6-0. Talk about your thoughts on the game and how good it was to see your girls go out there and really dominate this one from start to finish. And you pretty much got to play almost everybody on the roster as well, too, so that's always a fun thing as a coach. Yeah,
it was a good trip. I was just happy that it wasn't a wasted 6-hour trip ultimately. Went out there and, dominated the whole game ultimately. It took us a while to get rolling, but once we got rolling, it was smooth sailing from there in that game. So.
You look at the scoring. A name that we talked about last week who was the hero for you, she started off the scoring, Maddie Logan, unassisted goal in the 30th minute. And then Ella Bell, not only her first goal of the season, her first hat trick of the season. We're hoping many more of those to come. But she scores in the 37th and 44th minutes with assists from Jessa Brontes on both of those. Your thoughts going into halftime, knowing that you're up 3-0, and talk about those goals as well too.
So as far as the goals go, like I said, it took us a minute to go. We started a little slow, and then Maddie Logan just kind of smashed one from 20 yards out, just put it in the back of the net. So it kind of got us fired up when she did that. And then after that, the English link-up between Jess and Ella, you can just kind of tell they've played together for the past couple of years, even leading up to this. So Jess assisted both of her goals. So it was good. Going into halftime, up 3-0, we were kind of smooth sailing. And like I said, we were a little slow at the start, but we were dominating mostly the whole time. So it was pretty simple halftime talk. Just tell them to keep it up, kind of raise the intensity a little bit, and then go out there and finish the game.
Jess and Ella both from Peterborough over in England, as you can see from our player cards that are going to be rolling through here. Then in the 47th minute, Sarah Pinzon gets her first goal of the season. That made it 4-0. The 55th minute, this is where Ella completes her hat trick with an assist from Sarah. That makes it 5-0. And then Marley Jones, a player that transferred here to Co-Lin, transferred from Jones, had an assist from RC, so two of your sophomores get a little link up there. That made it 6-0. It's got to feel good knowing that you had some names that we haven't really talked about, even as far as shots and those kind of things. They were able to find the back of the net in this one.
Yeah, it was good. So it's good to get that confidence for them as well, get them time on the field, get them comfortable. Marley's goal was outrageous when she scored it. It was kind of like on the touchline, hit it with the outside of her foot, and it actually bent into the goal off of a cross essentially. So it was really crazy. So, but yeah, it was good to give them some confidence, get them some time on the field, and I think that's going to help them in the long run this season.
Well, one of those goals that if we had replay, we'd love, or if we had the play, we'd love to be able to show it. Unfortunately, on the road, it's a little bit harder to get those clips and those kind of things, but one that it sounds like it'll certainly last a lifetime. And one of those that if you're sitting there watching, you're going, that just happened, didn't it?
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
I talked to Ella the day after y'all got back and talked to her. I said, "Is that your first hat trick that you ever had, or did you have a couple over in England?" She said, "No, I've had a few over there." She said, "But it felt good to get that one as well too."
Yeah.
Another name that we haven't got to talk a lot about is your goalkeeper. In this one was Catherine Romero, your backup goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. She got the start. I know you talking about Liv dealing with a couple little injuries. We're able to give her a little bit of a rest, and I think you feel good at the fact that hey, your backup goalkeeper. Maybe she only faced 2 shots on goal, but hey, she got 2 saves. You got a clean sheet. And you got out of there with a win, and it sounds like she played really well.
Yeah, for sure she did. She played with confidence, which is what we need from her, especially when we come in and we don't have our number one. We need our number 2 to come in just confident.
So and then you look ahead. Now we talk about it all the time. Now things really start mattering. This is when you start conference play. You actually have your home opener as well this week. The Lady Bears of Southwest are going to come in here on Tuesday, and the Lady Wolves might be out for a little bit of revenge when you started off the season with a 1-0 loss over there. Again, we won't have to spend much time on this one because we know a lot about Southwest. But what are we expecting out of that matchup when they come over here on Tuesday at 5:30?
Pretty similar. I think they'll play the same way as they played when we played them originally. But luckily, going in, I think we went in with the wrong amount of confidence last time we played them. But I think this time we're coming in with the exact right amount of confidence and a little bit of anger as well. So I think it'll go well. So
And then you got a little bit of a twist as well too. First week where you've had to play 2 matches in a week. Not something that the sophomores who are back there, they're going to be used to it. Something the freshmen may have to get used to is playing a match, is playing 2 matches in a week. You're going to go over to East Miss. You're going to play over there on Friday. What do we know about the Lady Lions on that one when we kick that one off at 5 o'clock over in Scuba?
Yeah, so the main thing I know is they play a similar formation to us. I think they are a little bit better than they were last year. I know they played Hans last week. We got to catch a little bit of the game. They have a couple of athletes on the team from what I could tell, but Hans kind of took that one, and so that gives us a little bit of confidence. I think as long as we can pull off this win tomorrow, I think we'll go in really confident on Friday and hopefully get that one as well.
Yeah, and I think as a coach, you kind of like to see, hey, things are starting to heat up for us. Things are starting to work. Maybe some things that we thought were going to work and they hadn't necessarily worked at the start of the year, they're starting to work now, and that's got to build some confidence, not only for you but for the girls as well too. You're seeing Ella Bell, again, not only score her first goal, but score 3 goals. Maddie Logan has now scored in 2 straight matches. Sarah Pinzon gets a goal and an assist. As a coach, I think when you're starting to see things like that, you're going, okay, it's starting to work, and now let's run with it.
Yeah. So it's nice to see that. I see people they're kind of gluing now. It takes some time, especially playing with new faces. I mean, our internationals come thousands of miles. I mean, they're playing homesick. They're worried about all these other things other than playing football, on the field. So it's like, or I guess soccer, sorry. Been around the internationals a little bit. But but just playing soccer with their team on the field. So just seeing them kind of come in their own and kind of glue together and gel well, it's a good sight to see as a coach.
Well, whether you call it football or soccer, it's still a beautiful game, and there's a lot of beautiful game being played right now by the Lady Wolves. Again, they win 6-0. That's on the heels of a 2-1 win over East Central. They'll welcome in Southwest for the home opener, as well as the conference opener on Tuesday at 5:30, and then go on the road to Scuba to face off against the Lady Lions of East Miss Friday at 5. Coach, thanks for joining me. We look forward to talking next week. Hopefully It's about a couple of Lady Wolves wins. Stick with us through the break. Coming up, we've got men's soccer and football to talk about after this. Welcome back in. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. And joining me now is our head men's soccer coach, JT Coward. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yep, glad to be here.
And Coach, unfortunately, we've got to talk about something we haven't talked about yet with you, and that's a Wolves loss, a hard-fought loss. You go on the road 2-1, 6-hour trip up to Hot Springs. I know on the way back you had a little bit of a longer trip because of some things that were going on there with the bus and whatnot. But your thoughts overall on this one? Kind of felt like I talked to a couple of the guys the day after I saw them, then they felt like this was a match that they felt like they should have won. They just couldn't get enough shots, those kind of things. But your thoughts overall on it?
Yeah, going into it, we knew it was going to be a tough game, just with it being so far away, traveling up the same day of the game. And then the week before, they had beaten the number 1 team in the country. So we knew it was going to be a tough opponent. But, yeah, going into the game, we were ready getting off the bus and just – didn't go our way. So.
But you look at it, and the first half was a scoreless half. The couple of chances, I think, for each team. Nobody really able to find the back of the net. So you go into the first half, through the first half, thinking it's 0-0. If we just keep doing what we're doing, hey, the worst that's going to happen is it's going to be a draw, and that's probably the message to the guys.
Yeah, we defended really well in the first half. We lacked a bit of creativity up top as far as creating quality chances to score goals. So that was the main talk at halftime, is just moving some pieces around here and there to create some more chances for ourselves. In doing that, we gave up a couple goals, but we also got one back. So it was a good, exciting second half for both teams.
In the second half, unfortunately, the Nighthawks didn't waste much time getting on the board. Scored one in the 50th minute, and then turned around 5 minutes later and scored the second one in 2-0. And then, as you mentioned, Hudson McIntyre able to find the back of the net in the 67th minute with the rare goalie assist out of Jamie Duran. So talk about that goal. Talk about how good it was, and the fact that you still had 23 minutes. Unfortunately, you couldn't find the equalizer, but hey, at least you got one on the board.
Yeah. So. Jimmy's really good with his distribution, so he made a save. He saw Hudson was 1v1 at the top of the field, so he just sent one over the top, and of course like we've mentioned before, not many people can keep up with Hudson's pace. He was able to get a touch around the goalkeeper who was off his line and then just pass in the open net. So it gave us a lot of momentum for that last 20, 25 minutes of the game. After that, we created a good bit of chances that we could have equalized. It just didn't bounce our way. So.
And you look at this one, we'll talk about the play of Jamie as well, too. He faced 8 shots on goal. He saved 6 of them. Unfortunately, did give up the 2 goals. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing there. You know, for the first 180 minutes, he didn't really have to, he didn't face a lot of shots, but he saved everything, didn't give up a goal. So you've only given up 2 in 3 matches. I think you like where you're going headed into conference play.
Yeah, so like we mentioned last time, Jimmy's been a rock for us in the back, along with our 2 center backs in front of him. We really like the way we defend as a team, so we think we're pretty confident going into conference play next week or tomorrow actually. About we can keep teams off the scoring sheet, and we're just hoping that we can get things to click on the offensive side.
Yeah. So, those 2 center backs we mentioned, Lucas and Ethan, talk about them a lot as well, too. But as you just mentioned it, we look ahead to this week, first week where you'll play 2 matches in a week. Again, as we talked with Joe Joe, the sophomores kind of used to that. Freshmen may have to get used to kind of getting back in that groove. But you have your home opener on Tuesday. It's not only going to be the home opener, it's going to be the conference opener as well, too. Yep. Southwest coming into town, 7:30 kickoff. What are we expecting out of the Bears out of that matchup?
You can usually expect them to be hard-working, really gritty group who make it a really difficult game. I've seen them play a couple times now. Each game has looked completely different. So as far as how they're going to come out, it's a little bit of a mystery at the moment. But, I expect them to be a tough group to play against, someone who's going to be real gritty and real chippy.
Yeah. So then you'll go Friday, you go on the road, go over to Scuba, play the East Mississippi Lions, a team last year that kind of jumped ahead of our bunch. Yeah. That was kind of a theme last year as we've talked, playing from behind. Hopefully this year won't have that happen, but what do we know? What are we expecting out of the Lions when we go over there on Friday?
There's no easy games in our conference. Even last year when we played them, we go down early and we had to fight from behind. And I don't expect them to lay down and give us an easy game at all. So I'm hoping we can come out on the road and fire at all cylinders.
So 2 tough matchups coming up for the Wolves. Again, they dropped their match against National Park. First loss on the year, 2-1 on that one. They fall to 2-1 overall on the season. But good news is, everything counts from here on out. You got one more against a non-conference opponent coming up later in the year, but pretty much everything else is conference play, and it all matters after this. So, again, welcome Southwest for the home and conference opener on Tuesday at 7:30. On Friday, they'll go to Scuba and play the Lions of East Mississippi. Coach, thanks for joining us. We'll talk about those games next week. Hopefully, we're talking about a pair of Wolves wins as well, too. So stick with us through the break. Coming up, we're going to talk about Wolves football and find out how they did it against the Eagles after this.
When you give to the Co-Lin Foundation, your support directly benefits Co-Lin students, faculty, and staff. Whether it's by providing scholarships for students, professional development opportunities for faculty and staff, or technology and campus upgrades, we need your support. Giving to Co-Lin offers the best value for your money as a donor. With low administrative spending and overhead, we can use your donations in tangible ways that benefit students right now. Join us as we back the pack by giving today.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us through the break. Joining me for our final segment, as always, is our head football coach, Micah Davis. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
And, Coach, obviously, got to talk about something we haven't talked about in 2 weeks before. That's a Wolves loss, a hard-fought loss, a loss where you look at it and you go, maybe you felt like you gave this one away a little bit. Despite those mistakes that you had, and we'll talk a little bit about those, you still had opportunities to win this one. Talk about your thoughts on the game and just how the team feels overall after this one.
I mean, obviously we're pretty disappointed in it. We felt like we let one slip through our hands. We had our opportunities, just had too many turnovers. Let them score a little too many points. And just had some missed opportunities on the special teams. So.
Yeah, you talked about it in a 31-29 loss, and there was a stretch of 5 drives where they all resulted in some form of turnover, be it an interception, be it a fumble, those kind of things. If you clean up those, even if you don't have one of those mistakes, it feels like that game could have gone your way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just, like I said, we shot ourselves in the foot. basically all three sides of the football, and we just can't do that. You can't do that in this league. You got to be able to protect the football, and can't have 5 turnovers and expect to win.
Yeah, and you look at it in the stats, and everywhere in these stats, it feels like, you check that box that Co-Lin won it. You had 24 first downs to their 12. You had 427 yards of offense to their 245. They had 6 more passing yards than you. That feels like a negligible thing. You had 206. They had 212. You had 221 yards rushing. They had 33. Again, the biggest difference is the 5 turnovers, because even the penalties were even. You had 10. We had 10 for 119. They had 10 for 80. Clean those penalties up as well too. Those are things that can hurt you as well too. But you look at the key players in this one, the impact players. Both your quarterbacks again. Jalen Petway was 7 of 14 for 102 yards. Unfortunately, he had a couple of interceptions. Eli Vineyard was 10 of 21 for 104 yards. He also had an interception. He had 4 yards. Had a net 0 of rushing yards, but did have a 7-yard rushing touchdown. It was huge when it came. Your thoughts overall on how your quarterbacks played in this one?
I mean, they played well for the most part. They just got to be able to protect the football, and they know that. We preach on it every day that got to be able to take care of the ball. I think Jalen started off. He was about 7 for 7 the first part of the game, and we've had some key drops there as the game got going, and just got to be able to have a higher completion percentage than less than 50% or so, and they just got to play better overall, and they know that, and I expect them to do that each week.
Yeah, and I think in fairness to Eli, you also got to mention that interception was a bit of a tip pass. It got tipped right before it got to the receiver, and that was the led interception. But you look at the rushing attackers again. Martavius Boswell stepped up big for you again. Another game where he goes over 100 yards, 129 on 14 carries, 2 more touchdowns. Don't think you can say enough good about him. Kendarius Porter had his first touchdown of the year, was actually the first touchdown of the game. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. 56 yards on 6 carries. Desmond Ray had 49 yards on 15 carries. Unfortunately, Kendarius and Desmond both had fumbles that they lost. Martavius had a fumble as well too. You were able to recover that one, but again, when you're plagued by that issue of everybody who you need to protect the ball didn't protect the ball, it feels like it was a bad night, even though there were a lot of good spots.
Yeah, I mean, Martavius is doing really well for us right now. It's hard to teach speed, and that's what he's got. He just got to be able to trust the reads and trust his keys, that he doesn't bounce runs too fast. Just be able to make sure he reads it right. Biggest thing is obviously the fumble down on the goal line. That's the 3rd one this year in each of the first 3 games. So we got to obviously stop that, and just got to be able to protect it. That's been an emphasis already this week during practice. So we're going to make sure it's a priority for us.
Yeah, and on the receiving side, it seems like you may have unlocked a little bit of a weapon there. Jamarje Bell had 9 receptions for 115 yards. No receiving touchdowns, but Darnell O'Quinn and Trevor Fortenberry also had 2 receptions each for 42 and 21 yards respectfully. Jamarje Bell also on kickoff returns 205 yards. He had a big couple of 50-yarders as well too. Talk about the receivers. I know they had some drops that were kind of key in pivotal games. Even Jamarje had one that felt like if he brings that in, it's 6 there. I know it was going down the sideline. He may have had to dive a little bit for it, but it felt like your receivers played well for most of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Jamarje is electrifying. That's why we recruited him. I mean, we knew he was the best player up in the Delta, and he basically showed that the other night. People had a hard time covering him. He's a little guy that's that makes a big presence. So we're excited about him. And the other guys, they stepped up as well. We just got to keep getting better each week. And
then on the defensive side, it's a couple of guys that we've talked about every week. It feels like Lonnie Smith, Archie Chambers, those were your 2 leading tacklers, 2 of your linebackers. Lonnie had 9, Archie had 6. Archie also had an interception that felt like it could have turned the tide. Unfortunately, he couldn't do anything with it. Nehemiah McLeod had 5 tackles. Jonathan Crane, Bryce Hooker, Daniel Watkins, a couple of DBs and a linebacker with 4 each. So again, defense really kind of spreading the wealth throughout that game.
Yeah, I mean, we got some big players on defense, and they're all over the football. They're playing really good right now, and just got to play complementary football on both sides of the ball. So
you look at the drive summaries and the scoring summary, and Hines got the ball first, and they go down the field and they score on their opening drive. It's 7-0 after a 27-yard pass. Your guys were able to find a response immediately on their next drive. Wish it could have been a touchdown, but hey, it was a field goal, and it cut it down to 7-3 after Ty Jones hits a 22-yard field goal. At that point, it kind of feels like maybe you're going to be in a little bit of a shootout. But what's your message to the guys after those first couple of drives and trying to get everybody kind of settled in?
Big thing is just execution. That's something we got to do each on both sides of the ball. Make sure we execute the play that's called and be able to carry it out, and I think good things will happen.
And the good news is the defense did execute for you, didn't allow Hines to score. You get the ball back. This is where Kendarius Porter finished off a 4-play, 31-yard drive, had a 9-yard run, his first touchdown of the year. I think at that point you're up 10-7. You're thinking, all right, if we can just keep this momentum rolling, we're going to be okay.
Yeah, we started moving the ball down. We were making plays. We're executing, and so it worked out pretty good for us.
And then Hines was able to tie the game with about 8 seconds left. They had a 32-yard field goal. Good news is, again, you're able to find a response quickly. Early in this game, it felt like your guys were able to respond even when Hines was finding responses as well, too. Martavis Boswell broke one loose, 40-yard rush, kicked off ended a 2-play, 69-yard drive. Again, a play where Martavis just got the edge, and as we've said it before, Martavis gets that edge. If no one gets him, he's going to be gone.
Yeah, the receivers did a really good job out there blocking for him, as well as the offensive line created a hole for him, and he read his keys right and trusted his speed and outran everybody.
Yeah, and then you kind of get to this stretch where you don't want to say it was necessarily bad football for the guys, but this was the stretch where you didn't score when you had some opportunities. You had a missed field goal by Ty Jones, 48 yards that he pushed just wide right, and then you start a string of 5 possessions where they all ended in turnovers. You had an interception by Jalen, you had a fumble by, I believe, Kendarius, then you had another interception by Eli, a fumble by Desmond, and then another interception by Jalen. That stretches all the way from the middle of the second to the end of the part of the third, and in between there, Hines was able to tie the game and make it 17-17. The good news is despite all that, your defense was still keeping you in the game.
Yeah, like I said, they're a good football team. We just got to be able to play better and take care of the football on offense.
And you look at it, Hines was able to take a 24-17 lead late in the third quarter. But again, another thing where we see Hines finds a way. Our guys respond. Martavis Boswell, his second touchdown of the game, a 16-yard rush. Unfortunately, this is the part where, maybe this was the mistake that maybe you feel like turned the game a little bit. The PAT is missed right here. It's 24-23, and you kind of felt like you'd swung back all that momentum your way, but then it felt like it pivoted a little bit towards Hines with that missed PAT to make it 24-23.
Yeah, that wasn't the game-ending deal by any means, but we got to be able to kick extra points and make them, and got to be more accurate there, and the holes got to be better, as well as some long snap and everything else.
Yeah, and you look, Hines takes a 31-23 lead on a 4-yard pass. Again, good news is Wolves are not out of it. You have to go to Eli because Jalen got a little banged up on a little bit earlier in the game, but Eli comes through, has a really great drive, has a 7-yard touchdown run. You're down by 2. And then, unfortunately, a 2-point conversion is no good. Looked like Eli might have had a guy that he could have thrown that to. Maybe the window wasn't as open as it looked, from up in the press box point of view. They say the easiest spot to play quarterback is from the sky, and I won't disagree with that statement. But your thoughts on how good it was to see the guys show resilience. And, they came up a little bit short, but they never gave up, and they kept fighting even though you had all the mistakes.
Yeah, the 2-minute drive, we do it every week. I think we went down the field, pretty flawlessly, other than, we had a guy get injured, 10-second runoff, and we still scored with less than, about 20 seconds to go. So, I'm pretty proud of those guys for being able to do that. And Eli took it in for the score. And then, obviously, Eli's heartbroken about the 2-point play. There was an opportunity where it was there and just couldn't see the guy. And but again, that wasn't what lost the game. And luckily for us, we got in that situation because Eli scored the play before. So, but the guys have no quit. I'm excited about that. We have enough older guys on that team understand that all they got to do is execute a play and they're right back in the game.
Right, and do want to give a shout out to Ty as well too. We kind of talked about that missed field goal, that missed PAT. You did line up for an onside kick, and I thought he kicked it very well. He got the high hop that you want to see right there. Unfortunately, Hines was just able to jump on it, and that's what ended the game.
Yeah, they executed the onside kick, and and were able to get the ball back.
So the good news is that game's happened. We can flush it. We've talked about it now. We get rid of it. We look forward to the next home game. This game's going to be at home on September 18th. You're going to welcome in the Bobcats of Jones, two teams that are in kind of similar positions. You're both 0-1 in South Division play, and I think we all know what happens if you go 0-2. That steep hill gets a lot steeper as far as playoffs and those kind of things go. What do we know about the Bobcats coming into this one? A team that took a pretty tough loss to Gulf Coast on this past Thursday.
Coach Pollard's got him playing well. You know, it's kind of a similar situation I'm in. You know, but he's able to. He's done a really good job in the years past, and you know, they're really good on defense, and they're doing a lot of the same stuff on offense, and you know, they got a pretty active quarterback, and you know, they're athletic all around.
So, you know, looking forward to a tough, hard-fought contest again in the South Division coming up against the Bobcats of Jones, 6:30 in Stone Stadium on September 18th. I almost said October there. We're not there yet. We're getting there close. But September 18th, 6:30 Stone Stadium, the Wolves will face off against the Bobcats in South Division play. Don't forget this week we've also got women's and men's soccer both at home against Southwest on Tuesday, on the road against East Mississippi on Friday. That'll wrap it up for this week. I'm Kevin Kyzar, Sports Information Coordinator here at Co-Lin. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week.